Hey everyone, my name is Xenia, and All Elite Wrestling just had their Revolution pay-per-view this month, including the also anticipated Iron Man match, and we're going to talk about it. As of filming of this video, I just came back from San Francisco from the Revolution weekend, arguably the biggest weekend in wrestling of the year. And you can kind of hear it because I have kind of lost my voice. I've been talking a lot, so excuse me for that, but we're still going to discuss it. And before I go in depth, I do want to say that Revolution is definitely one of the biggest wrestling events of the year in AEW or outside of it. And that was definitely a weekend that you had to be there for. AEW made their debut in the Bay Area. We had the first Dynamite in San Francisco, the first Rampage, of course, and then the first pay-per-view also in California, in Bay Area. So that's a huge step in itself. This audience was starving for wrestling. They were ready, and suddenly they got this huge week, and AEW, of course, delivered. So that was definitely something to be present for. That, of course, also led to us seeing a bunch of local talent on Dark, so that's great too. I highly advise that you check out those episodes, not just because you can see me in the front row, but also because they were great. You can see some really cool local talent. Sandra Moon, Jessica Rodin, Titus Alexander, those are all wrestlers that you have to keep your eye on, and they're up and coming and they're great. And San Francisco is definitely an area that's worth visiting, even outside of wrestling, and I also made a vlog about it. That's also coming up on the channel, so that was definitely a fun time. So now let's talk business. Now let's talk real stuff. Actually, before I went to the pay-per-view, before we came in, I decided to do something new for you guys, and I decided to scope out some opinions of the fans, some opinions of the public, because the card, for some reason, for whichever reason that people found appropriate, was controversial. Some people claim it was a weak card. Some people claim they weren't going to sit through the Iron Man match, MJF versus Bryan Danielson, an hour-long Iron Man match. That was controversial. So I decided to ask people what they think. We are outside Chase Center right now. It's half an hour before the doors open and all the fans can finally come in, and we're a couple hours away from Revolution, one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. So we're going to talk to some fans that are already so ready for the show, queuing outside, and see what they're anticipating. So I'm here with
Alex.
That's a sweet title you've got there.
Thank you.
So I'm here with a bunch of champions. What's your names?
I'm Kevin.
I'm Will. Kareem.
And
Kendall.
Alex, hi.
And, you know, we're not going to pretend. It's not a secret that we know each other. This is actually the Eastern European commentary team for Lucha Underground. So cool to have you here. I'm here with
Philip.
Betty. And
Josh. My name is Jermaine.
Hi, I'm Katie Scarlett from the Bullet Cast.
And we're happy to have you here. Are you guys excited for the pay-per-view tonight?
Absolutely, we can't wait. We're here waiting in line. Champs. Brought my little brother to have a good time.
Absolutely. I am very excited to watch this. This is the first AEW pay-per-view I've been to live. I always go crazy for the last few. Anarchy Arena is probably the best match of all time. I'm excited for tonight.
Super excited.
Oh, very much. It's actually my first live AEW show.
Oh yeah, I'm ready to go in there and have a blast. Oh yeah, most definitely. I drove all the way from Santa Rosa to come and see this show. So
What are you expecting from it? Like, what's your expectation?
More than anything, I'm expecting the crowd to be absolutely incredible. I want to hear some loud chants. I want to see lots of really great signs.
Yes, I'm very excited. It's going to be amazing. I came all the way from Cyprus now, and unfortunately, I left my wife home. She told me, like, me or wrestling, and here I am. I love you, honey, if you're still waiting for me.
I like the if.
For the wrestlers, I just want to see them give their all. I know that they've been preparing for this for so long, and it's so great to have them here in San Francisco.
Finally, in the Bay Area. And strangely enough, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, the Iron Man match was actually the most anticipated match, almost unanimously. What match are you looking forward to the most tonight?
I think it's a very great card, and I'm waiting for a main event. It's a really good and huge question. If MJF can go for an hour, it's not easy.
It is not.
I don't know. Honestly, I feel like I'm kind of just really excited for all of them. I've been a wrestling fan my whole life, so like getting to see all of it will be super cool.
The trios match. Oh, I think maybe the Moxley match. Jon Moxley, what is it, Texas Bull Rope, like it's gonna be bloody. It's gonna be good. The trios title, the World Trios title.
Oh yeah, who do you think is gonna win?
You know what? I like the Elite, but I think it's time for the House of Black. I've always been the Elite guy, but I'm half and half.
It's a toss-up. It could go either way. I think the Elite's got it, though.
Probably MJF versus Bryan Danielson for the 60-minute Iron Man match.
I'm definitely looking forward to the Buried Alive match. That hasn't happened in like 13 years.
I mean, there's so many of them, honestly. But I'm gonna definitely have to say Danielson versus MJF is gonna be a slobber knocker, to quote JR. So the great thing about it is you have a lot of hype and a lot of build-up.
Bryan Danielson, wrestling for an hour. That's pretty amazing.
Iron Man match, I mean, 1 hour long. They're just going to pulverize each other. I'm sure it's going to be great.
Who do you guys think is gonna win? I mean, here I think we have a
MJF, absolutely, hands down. Bryan Danielson's too old. No, just kidding.
Oh my God, we have some hot takes here. What about you? Do you agree?
I agree. I think that MJF's going to take it, but just because he'll do anything to win, even if it means cheating.
Do you agree that Bryan Danielson's too old?
No, I do not.
Cool, I'm glad we've established that.
Oh, MJF.
Yeah, MJF is a big favorite, but Bryan Danielson, he should get the title, I think, in AEW, and maybe today is the day. Who knows?
I want Danielson to win.
Probably MJF, but I'm rooting for Bryan Danielson. Yeah, almost had it.
I also did interview a guy who dressed up like MJF, even though he doesn't like MJF, which is exactly the feelings that MJF should invoke, I think. I'm here with
Martin.
And he has a very sweet MJF get-up on. Is he your favorite?
He's not my favorite, but just for the occasion because he's the world champ.
Do you think he's gonna win tonight?
I don't want him to, but I think he might.
You're literally dressed like him. What do you mean you don't want him to win?
I don't know. MJF, he's a little in over his head, I think.
I also definitely had to find someone sporting a Best Friends t-shirt just to reinforce, our opinions.
My name's Adam.
Nice to meet you. I love your shirt.
Thank you.
Are you a Best Friends enjoyer?
I love Best Friends, Orange Cassidy. Here with a couple of my best friends who've abandoned me. That's okay.
That's fine. You still have the best friends.
I do.
Do you think Orange Cassidy and Denhausen are going to win tonight?
I hope so, but probably not.
Well, that's not very optimistic of you. Also, definitely, I asked people who their favorite wrestlers in AEW were. And again, unsurprisingly, the most popular pick was Kenny Omega, which is very fair. And I cannot disagree with that. Definitely one of the best wrestlers in the world, if not the best. Who is your favorite in AEW?
Kenny Omega, by far.
It's a solid pick. We like that. Looking very much like Orange Cassidy.
You gotta have the fingers in the pockets and the jacket and glasses. He is one of my favorites. Matt Hardy is my favorite wrestler.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Are you going to come dressed as Matt Hardy next time?
I've done Jeff Hardy a bunch of times, but I have never done Matt Hardy.
That's a good question. I would have to say right now, Orange Cassidy's got to be the guy. I got to model some of the glasses, the attitude. I love the style of wrestling. Right now, he's on top of that list.
MJF, yeah, and I love Jade also, so I'm hoping she's there tonight. Yeah, she's awesome.
You say you're a baddie?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
I'm going to have to go with Moxley. Hopefully he can pull through and beat Cowboy there.
Even though you do look like you would support the Cowboy.
You would think so, but not so much.
Danhausen. Yeah, he's funny, he's weird, he's just got all the characteristics that just make you gravitate toward him.
Probably Hangman Adam Page.
Bryan Danielson, even though I messed up his name. He's my favorite of all time. I'm looking forward to seeing Kenny Omega.
I have a lot of favorites in AEW, but I think Kenny Omega, the things he can make on the ring, he's freaking amazing.
That seems to be the popular pick today, and I cannot say I disagree. I actually agree. And what makes you watch, what makes you love AEW? What's the gripping factor for you?
Well, I've been a wrestling fan since I was about 6 years old, so I started with WWE, and getting to see more wrestlers on a weekly basis, getting to do what they love is something so thrilling.
That's a great question. A lot of great wrestling. Just an alternative. I've been waiting for that for my whole life.
But we went Wednesday night at the Cow Palace, and some of the stuff they did was so much fun that I'm hooked. I'm totally hooked. We went bowling with them yesterday and had a blast. I mean, yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Indie wrestling for years was the alternative that I was always watching. So many of these guys I watched on the indies, following YouTube. Sammy Guevara, I followed his blog for like years before he was on TV and anything like that. So seeing a lot of these people make it feels completely different than the other stuff that's on TV. It's so much more fun. It's so much more engaging. It's so much faster. And I enjoy the stories a lot more.
I couldn't agree more.
I think it's a good alternative, and honestly, like, I just think the match quality is better, the promos are better. And I've been following the Elite before All Elite Wrestling, so.
AEW is where it's at right now. If you want to watch wrestling, AEW is where it's at.
I've been watching pro wrestling since we were this big, so we love it all. Right? Well, no, I didn't grow too much.
Well, thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Getting to watch some of the people that I've watched grow up is incredible.
It really is. I couldn't agree more.
AEW is what we were asking for, and I think that they're delivering ever since that they started. I think they've delivered on what they promised the fans, and I think that they're going to continue delivering, and that's why AEW is my favorite promotion right now, and why I'm going to continue to support them.
I mean, they came in a very desperate times when we needed pro wrestling, really needed. And we got AEW, and I think I'm a fan for life. They can have their own problems, but they will figure it out, and I think they will be very good, and they're expanding, they're growing. I hope AEW will get bigger and bigger. Just look at the arena behind me. Wow.
It'll be gorgeous arena, huge crowd, and we're so excited. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Yes, thank you.
I'm just a lover of the art, baby. Wrestling is a life form, you know. They got the give and take, the bads and the goods, you know. It's my man's soap opera is how I like to call it, because it's how I get down, you know. I've cried, I've laughed, you know. I gotta have my feel good moments.
Just being a lifelong wrestling fan, you know. I mean, I'll take every platform of wrestling that I can get my hands on. I mean, as long as it's entertaining, you got great storytelling, as well as, you know, people that can work with each other in the ring. I mean, all those things are important.
So now that we've looked at the public opinion, let's virtually go into Chase Center, which is a huge stadium, a huge arena, very much like a big match, big show, big pay-per-view feel. So really like that. And I do want to go kind of match by match. I do want to start with 0 Hour, the pre-show, which for some reason, I tend to love pre-shows because I just feel like they showcase the talent that you don't see as much. And pre-shows / kickoffs are so great for setting the mood for the pay-per-view, kind of like putting you in the right mindset. And I really, really loved the red carpet segment that AEW did with Renee Paquette and with RJCT. First of all, I love seeing more RJCT on the big screen. He definitely deserves the spotlight. I find RJCT is just so effortlessly funny and effortlessly natural on the microphone, and he just adds so much to AEW, and I really do feel like they should be showcasing him more. Renee is, of course, always brilliant. No surprises here, but she's also fantastic, and I really love their synergy. And actually, another thing that's interesting about that segment is that we finally got some live promo segments, because lately I've noticed that a lot of the promo segments in AEW have been pre-recorded, which is not in itself a crime, obviously, and it really helps, you know, saves the time. It really helps keep up with the dynamic of the shows. It really helps like squeeze more things in, but in the same time, it creates some sort of a disconnect with the audience, because when you see a pre-recorded segment and you're live there at the arena and you're like, oh, Hangman Page is doing this promo and he's in a barn somewhere, like we don't know where, so like why would we cheer? Because obviously he can't hear us. And it's not a thing when the segment is like a pre-recorded backstage segment, but still, when you're live at a show, you want to see live performance. And it's not just about the live audiences. I still do believe that the live audience is a part of the show and they add so much to the show, and it's really important to have their reactions to promos as well. And I also feel like it's important for wrestlers to not lose the hang of working with live audiences with their reactions and adjusting themselves according to the reactions. I feel like it's really, really important for wrestling. So I'm really glad we got a live backstage segment on 0 Hour. Then we had the 3-on-3 tag, varsity athletes, Ari Daivari, Josh Woods, and Tony Nese versus Lucha Bros and Mark Briscoe. Honestly, it's fantastic to see Mark Briscoe on AEW TV. I just feel like, you know, it's been a long time coming, and it's sad that it happened after such a sad circumstance, but it's great that he's on AEW TV. The audience loves him. He is incredibly well accepted, and he gets insane pops every time. And I did go to ROH tapings in Orlando also, and the crowd just loves him so much. And the Lucha Bros, obviously, they're an all-time favorite. And actually, you know, that's a given. But I was going to talk about varsity athletes. I just really feel like It's an incredible faction that's growing and developing right in front of our eyes. And Mark Sterling adds so much to it. He really is the backbone of it. And I feel like it's such an incredible combination of athletes. And even though each one of them are great individually, and I've been an enjoyer of each of them individually, I do feel it creates amazing synergy. And I do feel they go great together. I love the attire. I love the look. I love the chemistry, and they've honestly been one of my favorite acts in AEW lately. So the match was great. More so definitely an emotional experience than a physical. I definitely do love the mixture of styles. I definitely do love the happy-go-lucky spirit of Mark Briscoe in combination with the lucha, and then met with this technical counterpart. I really do feel like it created, a great show. And it's a great match to put on 0 Hour also, because it really, again, sets the mood. So I really like that. Then we had Chris Jericho versus Ricky Starks. Also definitely controversial addition to the card, because a lot of people had questions as to why would Ricky Starks go such lengths to be able to face Chris Jericho, because, he's already wrestled him. There's not really much of an unfinished business going on there, which I honestly agree with that. But it's always great to see two great competitors go against each other. I would never, and I will never be against the Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho match. It's just that the story, though compelling, because it's Chris Jericho and Ricky Starks, it can't not be compelling. And the way that Ricky Starks presents himself usually, and the way that he conducts those rivalries, it's always incredibly compelling. It's always incredibly emotional. He's a great performer. He's definitely is going to grow into one of the all-time greats, I do think. And Ricky Starks got his win, which was very cathartic in terms of the storyline also. So, it went right. It went the way that it should have. It's not one of those feuds where you're like, oh, this is life or death, or oh, I cannot wait for these two to get into the ring and tear each other apart. But it was a good, solid storyline. It was a good, solid match. Then we had Christian versus Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, the casket match, which is always fun. I always love a good gimmicky match, and the casket match always gives an old school feel to it. Hilarious that Christian now has a turtleneck as part of his gear that he performs in also. I think it's ridiculous, but it's brilliant. And then we have Jungle Boy, who's making the transition to Jack Perry, and we have been seeing the personal stuff, the background family included in the feuds with Jack Perry for the longest time. I keep clamoring for a repackage. I don't see him continuing being the Jungle Boy. I would love to see new interest theme. I would love to see new attire, though this had the street fight attire, of course. I do feel like this transition from boy to man, right? From Jungle Boy to reclaiming his name, to Jack Perry to representing his legacy, I do feel like it cannot be this gradual. I would love a repackage. I've been saying it for months, so not sure when that's coming or if it's coming. Great match. Jungle Boy won, buried Christian. I would think this is the end of this rivalry, a very long, very emotionally charged rivalry. And I do want to say a couple good words about Christian, because Christian is a legend, and he's been everywhere and done everything in wrestling. And I think that his current self is the best he's ever been in wrestling. His current work is the best he's ever done in wrestling. So, outworked everyone, worked everyone, working better than ever. So this has been great to watch, and I cannot wait to see what's next for Jungle Boy, and hopefully he fully transitions to Jack Perry, maybe even drops Jungle Boy, hopefully. Then we had the Elite versus House of Black. This was also, according to my pre-show interviews, one of the most anticipated matches of the night, and that was definitely the most anticipated match of the night for me. I love House of Black. Everybody loves the Elite. Everybody loves Kenny Omega. And even though it was a bit of a consensus with the fans that it's time for House of Black to get their hands on the titles, I don't think that many people believed genuinely up until the last moment that it was going to happen. And yet it happened, which speaks wonderfully of the Elite in a way. It's always awesome to see the Elite. I love their current entrance. It's so funky, scampy, and I love every second of it. Also, as a Supernatural fan, I think it's great. Then I love the way House of Black structures their matches always, and we finally got the Buddy Matthews versus Kenny Omega face-off. I would love a one-on-one match, and it's been a dream match for a lot of people, and that's definitely been my answer when I've been asked what my dream match is. That for sure is a dream match. We got some action in that regard, which was amazing. I do feel like their styles combine so beautifully. I would love to see more of that. And of course, Brody King is always a star. Like Malachi Black, obviously the leader, he's great, but it's awesome to watch Brody King. Maybe because he's a newer signing as compared to Malachi, but I just have my eye on him. Like, I just love his matches. I just love the powerhouse energy that he brings. And with a face paint, he had amazing face paint for Revolution. Like, that was arguably my favorite part of the House of Black entrance and presentation. Brody King's face paint was fantastic. And, I couldn't be happier that House of Black are champions now. They deserve it. And I cannot wait to see where this journey, this championship takes them. Then we had the women's match, the triple threat for the women's title, Jamie Hayter versus Saraya versus Ruby Soho. And that one was definitely something that divided a lot of people. There was a lot of opinions on who should win this, who people want to win this. And I see how it's fair because those three are incredibly equal competitors. Like, it would make sense for any of them to win. And it would make sense for any of them to become champion or to keep being champion. I was admittedly team Jamie Hayter, so, happy with that one. And then we had Ruby Soho seemingly pick a side and then do another swerve. And I love how with Ruby Soho, it was unpredictable until the last minute, because she could be counted as the outsider, but she also could be counted as homegrown because her career truly started to flourish the moment she got signed with AEW. And when she came to AEW, she came as this huge star, and that was the start of her independent journey, and that was the start of her finding her true self, I guess, and coming back to the entrance music, coming back to her true persona, as it is for a lot of wrestlers. So until the last moment, it was unclear who she's gonna pick, and I love how they played into it with until the last moment, keeping us on our toes, having us think that she picked this side, but then she picked the other side. So ultimately, she's team Tony and Saraya, which I think, again, makes sense, but then it would make sense either way. But I'm also glad that Ruby's gonna switch the character maybe a little bit, maybe show her evil side a little bit, because I do feel like she has been such an organic good guy the whole time. And it's great, it's good for her, but, it's time for a change, and I would love to see her explore more of this side of her. Then we had the Texas Death Match, Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page, and if you know me, you know that I love me a death match. And yet, whenever I watch death matches on TV, in TV promotions, I always question whether it would actually qualify as a death match, and I do feel like it was more of a hardcore match up until the forks came out. Like, the fork spot was insane. Again, controversial. A lot of people, of course, are going to be mad, and a lot of people are going to, not be happy with it. And I know that Jim Cornette is not happy with it, of course. When is he ever happy? But I was incredibly happy with it. It was gruesome. It was graphic. It was just the right amount of graphic. And to me, it really brought it to deathmatch level. And it was a bit of a surprise that Hangman actually won this one, because unlike Hangman, Moxley is the deathmatch guy. He has deathmatch experience, and that's his territory. But I guess ultimately what we got is humanity winning over violence, which is kind of beautiful, if you ask me. Then we had Wardlow versus Samoa Joe for the TNT title. Which it was a great match, and I love Wardlow. I do think he's a great performer. Samoa Joe also, I cannot believe he was almost retired and now he's this huge star that he is. This match did feel a little bit like a layover type of situation, because we did see Hobbs win the golden donut right before, and then he was there, and then he showed the donut, went, hey, I have the donut, I'm gonna win this title soon. And then soon enough, of course, the next Dynamite, he went on to win the title, which is great for him. But it is a bit of a shame that this rivalry was a bit of a layover, and that Wardlow's championship was definitely a layover. Because I do feel like each time that Wardlow has been the TNT champion, it's been kind of overshadowed by something every time. So I would love for Wardlow to eventually have a proper title reign. Then we had the tag match. The thing that invoked the most emotion for me was the Orangehausen attire. I keep calling them Orangehausen, even though Denhausen did say on live TV that their team name is Denhausen and Orange Cassidy. That's the official team name. I love the all black attire. Like, I'm gushing about it, sorry, but like, I just think it's so great. It's such a great combination of Orange's aesthetic and Denhausen's aesthetic. With the whole tag team title storyline, for the longest time, it was kind of unclear to me what's going on. Like, why would the Acclaim lose the titles? Why would the Guns get them? Like, why would Orange and Denhausen win the Battle Royale? Why is any of this happening? Was a bit unclear until FTR appeared. FTR are back. They're ready for a fight as ever, and they're definitely going after the titles. So now it all makes sense. So again, maybe a bit of a layover, but it served its purpose for FTR's glorious comeback. So can't wait to see them win and the tag titles another time for another reign. And then, of course, last but not least, the main event, the 1 hour Iron Man match, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, the AEW reigning defending World Heavyweight Champion versus Bryan Danielson. So highly anticipated. Like, when I say internet is not real, it's exactly what I mean, because so many people were complaining on the internet, but ultimately it was the most anticipated match in the card. And the entrances, like MJF's entrance was glorious. Like, it was probably my favorite entrance of MJF, and we got the devil get up again, and it's so fitting. And MJF is again in the best shape of his life. He did share the scrum, how he achieved it, which sounds miserable, with the cold plunges, with the empty stomach cardio, with the 10 ounces of oatmeal. Like, huge props to him. Like, I keep saying that, and I keep, saying good things about MJF, but that's because I think he's incredibly talented, and I think he's on the road to greatness. I think he's gonna become one of the all-time greats. He's the next Scott Hall. He's the next, I don't know, John Goldberg, John Cena, I don't know. Or maybe he's just the first MJF, and maybe that's the truth of it. Bryan Danielson also, at this rate, a legend already. And a lot of people thought that maybe it's time for Bryan Danielson to win the main title in AEW and to finally make it happen. I almost wish that they had opened with this match, because I feel like the crowd would be so much fresher for it. But, it still got the crowd going. It was long, obviously, but it had so much story. It had so much, like, twist and turn. Like, they started with the showy stuff, with the show-off. Then they continued with the chain wrestling, with incredible chain wrestling. If I do say so myself, I'm a pure entertainment lover. Yet that was art. That was art on the mat in front of our eyes. Insane. And then the intensity just kept growing. And then the restart was incredibly, like, if you're rooting for MJF, incredibly frustrating. If you're rooting for Bryan Danielson, incredibly hopeful. So much blood, sweat, tears. So much stamina on both parts. It's crazy. And Dave Meltzer did give it a whopping 5.75. You guys know that I'm not a fan of star ratings when it comes to wrestling, but Dave Meltzer was there live, and I would be surprised if he gave it any less, because being live in the audience for this match was an out-of-body experience. Like, it's something that you, like, put on your checklist, and years later you tell your grandchildren that you witnessed this match live. And I couldn't be happier that MJF remained champion. I also, like, I've said this in the past, I'm pretty sure, but when it comes to MJF, he really makes me care who wins the match. Like, the way that he presents it, he really makes me care, and I cared so much, and I was actually rooting for him. And I'm so glad that he remained champion, and he's still on his road to greatness, and this longer reign is going to help with that for sure. With the ending, like, not sure what's happening with Bryan Danielson after this, because after they went off air, the way that he thanked the crowd and the way that he walked away did feel an awful lot like a goodbye, which I would not want to see that. I still think Bryan Danielson has so much yet to prove, so much yet to show, so much yet to share with the world. I wouldn't want him to leave, but I guess we'll see. It did alarm me a little bit, not gonna lie. But this match was definitely an all-time classic, definitely one of the best matches AEW has ever put out. So ultimately, we're on this road again where people are like, oh, I'm not sure about the card. Oh, I'm not sure about this match or that match. And then AEW just goes and puts out a generational pay-per-view. This is an absolute A+. Great job, AEW. Great job, Mr. Tony Khan. Thank you for having us. And this has been the review. And let me know, guys, if you were there live, if you watched it live, what was your favorite match? Did it meet your expectations? Leave a comment down below. And in the meanwhile, give this video a like if you had a good time, subscribe, tap the notification bell to never miss an upload. And until next time, goodbye.